Hi, I'm Rick McGuire. I'm the executive editor of CardioSource World News. We're talking to Dr. Blair Erb, who happens to be the chair of the PINNACLE Network for the ACC. Let's talk about the PINNACLE Network first off and what it is and what you do.
Thanks, Rick. Glad you had me here. The PINNACLE Network really is a tool designed by the college to support cardiologists in this country during this transformative period in healthcare reform. It includes many aspects of what we do in practice, quality tools, financial support tools, those kinds of things to help us really to weather this storm that we're facing in reform.
It's kind of a hurricane that's coming at doctors, and it's hard to provide leadership when you're being surrounded by all of these blowing winds. What is it that the tools can do for them?
You know, I think it all boils down to accountability. Professional accountability, and that comes in many flavors. There's financial accountability, there's professional accountability, there's scientific accountability, and if you break those things down into things like appropriate use criteria, doing the right thing for the right patient at the right time, patient-centered care, those kinds of things are what we're really focusing on with the PINNACLE Network.
What are you learning? I mean, as you look through, the PINNACLE Network can really drive down to give you a specific picture of your own practice, your own group. But what are you learning broadly from the PINNACLE Network data?
You know, the PINNACLE Registry, which sits within the PINNACLE Network, is really the premier outpatient cardiovascular data registry. And what we're learning is that we do a pretty good job, but that we are confirming the fact that if we don't measure ourselves, we will not improve ourselves. So it's really rediscovering the wheel from that standpoint, but it really drives the message home.
When people get their PINNACLE report back and they look and they're really happy, some things are really, obviously they're doing well at, others not so much. Is it really a surprise to some of the doctors who are looking at this going, wow, I thought we would have been much better on that, and wow, I didn't know we were doing that well on this. What's their response when they see one of these reports?
You know, physicians by nature are competitive beasts, and the response is, I'm going to make it better. And that's exactly what we want.
And what do they tend to do? When they look at the numbers, do they go out and they try to figure out what's wrong?
Absolutely. And then what we do is we create systems to make the things that are wrong right.
Yeah, do you help them make it better, I
Correct.
guess, is the question.
Right.
So what do you do for that?
You know, it involves a variety of things, and in each practice is unique in its own environment, its own practice culture. So it's really up to the practice itself to come up with a specific resolution to its problems. But we do provide tools that will provide at least a skeleton for making those kinds of corrections.
And once the corrections are made, when does the next report come around? I mean, how often do these report cards, if you'll pardon the expression, do they come around?
You know, the PINNACLE Registry actually has rapid turnaround, and we're working on, if not have completed, what's called the dashboard, so that physicians can have real-time updates at the end of the day of how they've done in meeting guidelines and those kinds of things. But again, it's up to each practice as to how often they will review their data. For example, in our practice with respect to the cath PCI data, we review our data quarterly and sit down and have a meeting and go over those data and make corrections as needed.
It's an awful lot of data that is provided in one of these reports. That may seem a little overwhelming to some, does it?
You know, there are a lot of data points, but when it comes right down to it, it's what we do every day. And it's not that we have to relearn, but what we're doing is seeing how we are accomplishing those kinds of things that we know we should be doing.
So in that sense, it's kind of encouraging to get this information that you may suspect is out there, but you've never been able to corral it before, at least never been able to use it.
That's right. And in many ways it's gratifying, and when we do see that we've got a less than optimal performance, it's also gratifying to correct it.
To get more information about PINNACLE, I know some of it's online through CardioSource, where do they go?
CardioSource is the place to go. CardioSource.com/PINNACLE, that's where the registry is, that's where the network can be found.
And we would like to invite you to go online and not only watch us on CardioSource World News, but also go to the PINNACLE Network and the NCDR database, which is also available through CardioSource. Thanks, Dr. Erb. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Ray.